Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Giant Take podcast. My name is Josh. I'm joined by my friend and co host Alex. And the New York Giants have finally hired their new offensive coordinator. Had to do some kind of adjustments along the way after Todd Monken, the former Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator that John Harbaugh was clearly looking for and hoping to get during this offensive coordinator search, decided to take a head coaching role instead. So the Giants have Matt Nagy, former Bears head coach, former Chiefs offensive coordinator, former coach of Patrick Mahomes. So now you think about it, right? The Giants should be the best team in the NFL. They have the head coach, who is the former head coach of Baltimore Ravens, quarterback superstar Lamar Jackson. Then you now have Matt Nagy, who was the former offensive coordinator of the best quarterback, pending injury and recovery for Patrick Mahomes, but that guy too, right, Alex? So you would say that Jackson Dart is only up from here.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well book our Super Bowl tickets now because, it's only up from here. But I
Take
mean,
the
in all
plus 600
seriousness,
odds or whatever it may be now.
yeah, I wouldn't do that quite yet. I don't even know really what to say. You go from Todd Monken to, Davis Webb to Cliff Kingsbury, and then out of nowhere, no mention of this guy really at all, to be honest, in this entire cycle. And, uh, you know, believe me, there's been a lot of chatter throughout the news cycle about who John Harbaugh was going to select. And this was an odd one. Just because obviously Harbaugh himself is an experienced guy, has been around the league, and has been through almost every type of situation you could have in the NFL. And with that, you'd think that he would kind of go for some more up and coming, more creative coordinators, maybe less experienced coordinators who he sees as having potential to help really elevate this team into a championship contender. And with Denard Wilson, we kind of saw a little bit of that. And we kind of expected, the OC candidate to be the same if it wasn't a Todd Monken, whether that was a Davis Webb or, someone else who was, or an Alex Tanney or someone who is a little bit, further down the NFL ranks, but has a lot of potential and upside. But to go with a guy who kind of is like this high floor, low ceiling type of guy that in Matt Nagy is just doesn't really make much sense. He has not called plays for the Chiefs over the last 3 years, and Patrick Mahomes has visibly been worse each and every year he has been there, which is something to keep in mind. Not saying that's entirely his fault. Obviously, before that, he was with the Chicago Bears as a head coach. Justin Fields, obviously a highly thought of prospect, never really developed under Matt Nagy. You can go on and on actually throughout his career if you go through his Wikipedia page and look at the quarterbacks, see how they turned out. And I guess the really best example that you could see of his success is back when he was with the Chiefs originally, with Alex Smith. Obviously, Alex Smith at that point, though, Josh, was already quite an established quarterback when he made his way to Kansas City. So it wasn't necessarily a case of development as much as a highly successful quarterback, choosing to move to his team and being able to work with a guy who had a lot of experience and success in the NFL already. So if I were to give it a score out of 10 on how I feel about it, probably 3. Not super thrilled, but yeah, that's about it. There's not really much more to say. I would say both coordinator hires definitely leave something to be desired, is all I'll say.
Going through his actual time in the NFL, which started in 2008 with Philadelphia Eagles, where he was an intern, then an assistant, then offensive quality control coach with the Eagles. Then moved on to the Chiefs, as Alex referenced to. Quarterbacks coach with them from 2013 to 2015. Then was their OC for 2 seasons from 2016 2017 seasons. Was hired as the Bears head coach. I'll get into that in a little bit. 2018 to 21. And then the Chiefs again for their senior assistant and QB coach in 22, and the OC from 2023 to now, when he then got hired now to be the New York Giants OC. So let's go back to his time with Chicago. I want to do that first. So with the Bears, it was an instant hit, Alex. I mean, it was anything you could ask for and more. In his season, turning the second-year QB Mitchell Trubisky, which is, wow, what a name, into what looked to be a superstar in the future of the Chicago Bears. Had a 12-4 year. You really can't ask for anything better. So he then gets named Coach of the Year. Then the following season, Trubisky, not great, 8-8 in 2019, then 8-8, made the playoffs in 2020. After that, the 2021 season ends in a 6-11 year. And I guess with higher hopes that the Chicago Bears fans and ownership was expecting from Matt Nagy, kind of a one last hope, which is funny, Alex, that after 2 8-8 seasons and then a 6-11 season compared to Giants football and coaches that we've watched over the years, that's bad. They end up firing him. So that's his head coaching stint. Not crazy bad, not great. Kind of similar, Alex, to like the Brian Dable regime where he wins the NFL AP Coach of the Year in his first year and then 2-3 pretty bad seasons. But however, not as bad as I think Dable's turn to the worst was. And then I know you made these comments. I want to push back on you a little bit. I know that maybe he didn't call the plays, and we don't know exactly what he'll do with the Giants. We don't know if it's going to be Harbaugh or him, but he must have done something right. Unless I don't want to, yes, sure. A lot of the credit goes to Andy Reid. He still won 2 Super Bowls after leaving the Bears and going back to the Chiefs. So, those are 2 Super Bowls that the Giants don't have since 2012. So as much as, everyone wants to, oh my God, this is a horrible pick. No one saw this coming. This is atrocious. I think that everyone's kind of counting to conclusions because all they can point to, and I'm not trying to like hate on people, but a lot of things that people can point to is that he didn't call plays. If we're gonna turn this thing around into a winning regime, Alex, I think one way to do that is to bring in a winning culture. You have John Harbaugh as a winning coach with Baltimore, and you have Matt Nagy, who's a winning coach, whether or not it's a head coaching position or an OC position at Kansas City. This season, I'm not going to say it doesn't count. It was an unfortunate injury for Patrick Mahomes. It's not like the Chiefs look good this year. And last year as well. They were, I think, the 15th or 16th ranked offense in 2024 in terms of passing yards and yards in total. They were around the middle of the pack in the NFL. So it's not like it was outstanding, but they found ways to win. So that's what I will say there. In terms of the pick itself, you gave a rating. I'll give a letter grade, switching up a little bit. I'm going to say a solid B. Again, I think that kind of when you're writing a paper, they're going to, professor or teacher, wherever level of schooling you're at, they'll give you a B, and they'll write that little comment on the top of the paper. They'll say, listen, you change this, you change this, you do that. There's rules for improvement. Here are the ways you can do that, where you could have gone better, but this one just isn't good enough. And I think, as you said, high floor, low ceiling. Maybe there isn't. Maybe he just sticks at that solid B for the rest of his coaching career. He's not the youngest guy. Of course, he's not Davis Webb. That was kind of a diamond in the rough, right? Like that was like a young, emerging former Giants quarterback that was looking for a job, doesn't get it. Or with the Giants, at least, does get it, but not with the Giants. Internally, he got it. Nagy's not too old, though. He's 47. So, yeah, that's what I would have to say there. But, Alex, to your point, if this is a high ceiling, low reward, or whatever you said, high reward, low ceiling, I will take that.
High ceiling, low reward. There we
go. Yes. Whatever you want to use, that's fine. Then I will take that. I'd rather have a B than a C minus. That's personally how I feel.
Yeah. And I'll continue, I guess, the metaphor. While B's get degrees, in school, in the NFL, unless you're an A+, you don't win championships. And I think that's the problem, right?
Okay, so then he's an A+. He's won 2 Super Bowls.
He won 2 Super Bowls, but the Chiefs have progressively gotten worse the more involved, clearly, he has gotten, right? We've seen quotes of players talking about how his role has expanded year after year, and this Chiefs offense has gotten worse year after year. And Matt Nagy, Mitch Trubisky was an extremely talented quarterback. Really couldn't get the most out of him,
But
except for
here,
his
but
that one
Alex,
season.
I'm sorry. Worse and worse throughout the years. This year was bad. I mean, I give you that. Last year wasn't great either, but they still went to. It's not like they didn't go to the playoffs. I mean, they get what that was last year was when
Yeah.
they got crushed by the Eagles in the Super Bowl, right? Like an absolute atrocious game, got absolutely pummeled. Oh, that was them, right? That was the Chiefs. It was Chiefs Eagles. Yeah, that Eagles team was insane. I'm not taking away. I mean, they got crushed. They did. They were in the Super Bowl again. They won in 23 and 24. I understand about this progressively worse offense, and I feel like with a head coach like John Harbaugh, regardless of if they're bad or whatever it is, they could still make their way through with a coach like that. Because here's the thing with Andy Reid, you might call the offense bad. They still made the Super Bowl.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's just an uninspiring choice, I think, is the best way to put it, to be completely honest. It just seems kind of, things evolve over time, and this guy's not been directly involved for 3 years. He's kind of been, I guess, just riding it out here is kind of my feeling with it a little bit in Kansas City. So that's like, I just, I think you have this exciting offense, right? You have an exciting quarterback, you have an exciting running back, you have exciting receivers, and to bring in a guy who's kind of more status quo, legacy hire, is kind of more where most people have him, I guess, in mind. It's just not exactly, I guess, the vision that Giants fans were hoping for. With obviously the Ravens ran such a modern offense with Lamar, and to kind of see it kind of go a little bit more old school. Matt Nagy's not necessarily a guy who's going to think very far outside the box, and I think that's kind of upsetting, even coming from a Brian Dable offense where there's a lot more creativity and things going on. Whereas if you watch even those Bears teams, there really wasn't a whole lot going on there, and he had success in that first year, but I don't know if you remember that Bears defense that first year, Josh, when he was coach of the year. Oh my God, probably the best defense maybe I've ever watched. So that's also something to keep in mind I know a lot of people keep bringing up his success that season, online, but that's, for if you take your head back a little bit and go back a few years and remember that. I mean, they had Eddie Jackson, they had Khalil Mack was, in the prime of his career. I mean, they had a great, great team. So I think, some of the successes, all of the successes I think he's had definitely have an asterisk next to it, is kind of my problem with him so far. But
I would say my main concern with this, I don't want to all sound like jolly and happy with this pick. I'm not as like depressed and angry as all these other Giants fans that I see. I feel like Alex, you kind of fit into that mold, which is I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm not as like doom and gloom as you guys are. I would like to see it happen first before I really make a judgment. But if there's direct numbers that correlate to what you're speaking of, it's the yards per play. When he joined the team in 2023, the Chiefs were ninth in the NFL, 5.5 yards per play. Then 5.1, which was 22nd, and then this past year 4.9, which was 23rd. Which I'd really like to take it with a grain of salt. We all know that Patrick Mahomes runs that Chiefs offense, and when he got injured, that team really fully went into the ground. I know they were bad to start the year, but still. Then explosive play rate. That's another big thing, especially in modern day NFL with next gen stats that people look at. 11.2%, which was 18th when he started, 9.4%, which was 27th last year, and this year 8.1%. That was 31st in the NFL. So in terms of numbers, to specifically back up your point, I'm helping you out here, Alex. I understand that. And I think that's definitely a concern. However, this is a new scheme now. It's with a new head coach. It's on a new team, a new quarterback that, by the way, this Giants team, the way that it's structured, shouldn't rely on a single player. although we want Jackson Dart to be one hell of a player, it shouldn't be like Drake May and the Patriots, Alex, where they rely on Drake May to play well. If he doesn't play well, they're not in the Super Bowl. Cam Scadaboo and Tyrone Tracy are on this team. And then Malik Neighbors will make hopefully sensational plays along with some other receiving weapons that we'll have to wait and see who they become. And then the Giants defense, that's kind of the whole point, is this D-line, right? But I want to make it clear that hopefully in comparison to the Chiefs, not everything needs to be on one person. So I think it's a little bit different too, the way you're looking at it. It's going to be a completely different thing with running backs that actually might make a difference. With the Chiefs, their running backs come in and out. I mean, I'm thinking about Kareem Hunt, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, it goes down the line. Like I feel like they were picking up guys like me on the waiver wire in fantasy football. Like they were all over the place. So I think it's a more, hopefully what they're trying to build is a more equal offense, if that makes any sense, between the running backs and the quarterback of Jackson Dart.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm not like I said, it's not inspiring, but again, all the offseason is just talk, right? You have to see what it is on the field, and we have to wait till September to see that. So I'm obviously going to support them, and we'll see what happens. But the staff is slowly coming together. I believe there's just a few position coaches left, most notably the offensive line coach, still outstanding. So we'll have to see where they go with that one. Obviously, the Ravens offensive line coach heading to the Browns to be with Todd Monken. So a lot of things still to come in terms of shaping out, especially the offensive side of the staff. So we are going to have to see kind of what choices Nagy makes in terms of that. Maybe gives us a better indication of what we're going to be seeing this season. But I'm not thrilled, but give him a chance, I guess, is going to be my message for now.
Yeah, give him a chance. Matt Nagy, the new Giants offensive coordinator, former Bears head coach, former Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator. We appreciate you listening or watching this episode of the Giant Take Podcast. If you want to help support us more, you can follow our social media platforms at the Giant Take Pod on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Alex is on X at anoreen23. I'm on there at JoshSolo29. More content coming from us this week. We will begin our 2026 NFL draft coverage. Very exciting, very special stuff. It's one of our favorite parts of the offseason is doing this scouting. And then when these players get drafted, we're like, oh, we know who you are when they get picked in the NFL draft, whether it's in the Giants or not. So if you want to be well-informed with us heading into the draft and kind of pick your favorites before it happens for who the New York Giants should draft and then be sad with us when they don't take them or they get taken before the Giants pick, tune in later this week. We'll have that coming out along with, obviously, in that episode. There is a game on Sunday. The Giants don't play in it. It's a Super Bowl. It's the Patriots and Seahawks, and we're going to talk about our picks for that and kind of break down that matchup a little bit as well. Thank you so much for listening or watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.